1, 2, 3, 4. What up, y'all? It's Babylon 5 Podcast. It's your boy, Jermaine and Vince. How you guys doing? This is episode 86, and then there was X. I know I touched on this last week, just with the news of Dmx and how it looked. I was certain, it was pretty evident to me, like, the next news that we got would be that X had passed, and unfortunately, I believe Friday, Dmx passed. So, first and foremost, rest in peace to DMX. My heart's out to his 17 kids, his loved ones, all his, everybody, man. DMX meant so much to so many people. And I'm definitely one of those people. I've been listening to a lot of X, making myself emotional. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the social medias. We can touch on this later. If you guys want to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. You can follow my personal account at My Name's Jermaine. You can email this podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can follow this podcast at Babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to this podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, pretty much anywhere podcasts stream. If you guys are on Xbox, go ahead and add me at SaucedBoss414. If you guys are on Twitch, go ahead and add me. Go ahead and add me at twitch.tv/Babylon5. You guys can check out the merchandise. Go to teespring.com/stores/BOFpod-shop. And go to patreon.com. Don't just be my patron, or don't just be my Negro, be my patron. Be my patron. And go to patreon.com/Babylon5pod. I was starting to cringe away from it. I haven't done it in a while. And I think I threw it at the end of last episode. I was like, let's throw it in, but then I was starting to cringe again as I was saying it. But I don't know. It is what it is. I told y'all where it's from, the Kevin Hart shit from 40-Year-Old Virgin. That don't be my Negro, be my nigga. And if you niggas is on TikTok, go ahead and add a brother at Babylon 5 Podcast on TikTok. Yeah, But as I mentioned to you guys, probably mentioned it last week, or I've mentioned it a few times, a few episodes. I mentioned it originally when I first spoke to Mr. Ben Slowly, a.k.a. Mr. Nice Guy, that I was going to be doing the Mr. Nice Guy podcast. And I did that interview last week, Monday, ladies and gentlemen. I wish I had a round of applause queued here for special effects or some shit. I don't at this moment have a decent applause sound effect. I had some claps, but I figured I would have to. Once I heard how the clap sounded, I was like, I'd have to rearrange this. So I'm trying to look for some more applause. Anywho, but I did the interview with Ben Slowly for the Mr. Nice Guy podcast. He said, because he puts out an interview every day, he had a backlog of interviews, so this interview would be out in 2 weeks from, so probably not this week, but the following week, possibly, you guys would be able to get this interview. So, sure enough, I'm going to share it around when it happens, when it comes out. I felt like it was a pretty good interview. I left it feeling like, I didn't say it, like afterwards, I was like, dude, I should have said this, I should have went more into this, because I felt like it was a relatively short interview, and I felt like I could have gone into so much more detail about certain things. I felt like I should have I didn't give my boy Nate Fisher a shout out. I should have given him a shout out. Afterwards, because we were talking about, the music that I put out, and just, the times of absence, and he asked me about the Grump, and I should have mentioned that, while I was working on the Grump, I was putting out the songs, the Summer EP with Nate's beats. I should have threw that out there, man. That was my biggest regret leaving the podcast interview, the Mr. Nice Guy interview was that I felt like I didn't capitalize on certain moments. I didn't necessarily know what he was going to, like, I had an idea of what he was going to ask me, so I tried to, like, write some notes of things that I wanted to go into and just really think about certain things that I didn't want to speak on. I think that was, honestly, what was most important to me. But, no, I felt like the interview was pretty good. One thing, though, I'll just give this away. I'm, like, dressed like Dwight from The Office, and I have the background because we do it via Zoom, and the background is from The Office, like when they're doing their mockumentary confessionals, and it's got like Stanley in the background. And at one point, he asked me a question. I'm talking about just things, and I have a bowl of beets, and I'm eating my beets. And then after the interview, he's like, "Oh, I don't watch The Office." And I'm like, "Oh shit, that's why he didn't react to any of this." I'm sitting here like eating beets. I felt like he was looking at me like, this rude motherfucker is just like gonna eat in the middle of this interview. But it was like all to play in the fact that I was dressed like Dwight from The Office and I'm eating beets. But he's not a fan and didn't pick up on it. I was like, damn, like I'm not trying to be an asshole here. Like, but I'll definitely liked the interview. Hopefully, like my wife, I was telling her about it afterwards, and she's like, I'm pretty sure most people that see the interview will definitely pick up on the fact that I'm dressed like Dwight, that the background is The Office, and they'll pick up on, like, me eating beets. Like, beets are very bright red, they're a very specific looking thing. It's not like, oh, what was he eating there? If you're a fan of The Office, you're going to see me there and be like, oh, shit. And I said, I think at the end of the podcast, I was like, dude, it's the Babylon 5 podcast, and I'm dressed like Dwight. I was like, that's amazing. It's his favorite show, and it's not his favorite show. It's Battlestar Galactica. Like, after the podcast, I was like, fuck, why did I say that like a jackass? It's definitely Battlestar Galactica. Bears, beats, Battlestar Galactica. Never seen Babylon 5. It just sounds good, right? Doesn't it sound the Babylon 5 podcast? 1, 2, 3, 4. In show business, nigga, I wouldn't even give you that 3, 4, nigga. But you get the whole damn main in here. All right? You get the whole damn main. But yeah, I thought the interview with Ben went pretty well. Even, like, just talking to him after the interview, we were just sitting there chatting. I'm like, this is just a cool-ass dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's definitely a cool-ass dude. If I see Ben out and about when these shows start back, you know what I'm saying? Because once there's live music happening again, I know I've disappeared from the scene, ladies and gentlemen. You haven't seen Jermaine out in these streets. But I'm definitely going to be a little ready to get out here. Definitely to see this local scene, man. I feel like the local scene is definitely on a come up. I mean, you definitely got some riffraff hitting there. Like, literal, my niggas do songs with riffraff. So you might have riffraff in there. But, yeah, I'm ready to get back and check out this scene, go out and perform myself. Just get into the whole swing of things. I really like this interview. Ben's a cool dude. If I see him around, I'm definitely going to buy this man a beer. He's a cool dude. Like I was saying, like after the interview, we were just like joking about like he was telling me he doesn't watch The Office, and he's more of an Arrested Development guy, which you guys maybe know. I'm a huge Arrested Development fan. Huge Arrested Development fan. So he was like, man, I love what is the guy? I forget his name. The dude that plays fucking Job. She's like, come on, the guy in the $3,000 suit is gonna hold the elevator. Like that whole little I went into my shtick. I do voices and here and there. But like, nah, man, it was just good vibes. Talking to Mr. Nice Guy, being on the Mr. Nice Guy podcast. Ben Slowly's cool dude, man. I'm hyped. I'm hyped for this interview to come out. I would say it's probably my first interview. It's definitely my first solo interview as a podcaster, rapper, producer, stand-up comedian, which I didn't mention. I was like, fuck, why didn't I mention stand-up? Like, that was the whole point of this podcast, is the fact that I could get my jokes off, go back to it and take note and be like, oh, shit, I was on to something there. I was on to something in the middle of those babbles. Take it to the stage. You know what I'm saying? We're a year old with this. We're over a year with this podcast, but yeah, I don't know. By the time I'm out here doing shows, I got material where I could just be out here like in a week performing music and well, actually no. I mean, well, I could be performing like paid gigs on the weekends, but as far as like hitting like open mics and shit like that, those are like weekday things that usually got to get there pretty early, and my schedule just doesn't coincide with that, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, maybe I could have my niggas put me on a list. I know the boy Ryan was saying he was saying that he goes to the open mics at Bremen Cafe. I haven't been there in a little while. Wasn't a fan of their open mics back in the day. But maybe I'd check it out just to upset myself again. But yeah, I don't know. I have enough material probably through comedy, music, and all that I could, if I planned it out right, be just out here just grinding. Just nibbling. Just a nibbling away, you know? I'm ready for it. Pandemic kind of worked out perfectly for some. It's not funny, but if you were lucky enough to get time to work on things, if something slowed down, you weren't able to go there because, well, then work on these things while this is shut down. Like, everyone who took advantage of that, shout out to you. If you had the opportunity to. Speaking of which, I recently started this new job that's why I was saying, like, I work pretty late these days, and usually before I always, like, somehow pampered like, people would say, dude, like, everywhere I work, people would be like, dude, how do you have your schedule like this? And it's like, and I'm just like, bro, it's just the skill set that I bring to the table. Like, I've catered it to be that, like, I can do these specific things, and those specific things have, like, a Monday through Friday 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. like schedule, or like 6 to 2, no later than 7 to 3 type shit. So, like, everywhere I go, people are like, dude, how are you working this? How are you doing this? I've had so many people like, dog, wait, hold on, bro. How'd you get them to do that? And I'm just like, bro, it's just because I can do this and this, like. So, like, I'm being real vague because it's just like, you know, it's retail shit back in the day, but not like, it's just the clerical work. I do like more. Like, when I work in stores or anywhere I work, I do more of, like, the receiving, more of the pricing. I make sure, like, everything is, you know, that's just shit like that. I run those departments when I go places. So, and because of that skill set, if you will, that usually is an early morning schedule, Monday through Friday, and people be getting mad because I somehow finagle to do other things and keep that schedule. And it really bothers people. Like, bro, how do you do that? I'm so sorry, but this new job here is late. I'm in there until midnight. You know what I'm saying? It's different, but it's better because, like, I go to the gym. I like to go there early in the morning, or it's like not even early in the morning. Just like I prefer to go to. I'd rather go to the gym in the daytime than the nighttime. Just naturally, it's just how I am now. So I'd rather go earlier than later, and I can get shit done when I post, you know, for Instagram, do my Instagram interactions, my social media interactions, everything works out. Usually by the time I'm done all the things that, like, back in the day, like, I'd be, like, trying to take a break from work to do these things, trying to sneak these things in. And, because there's just, like, certain times that's the better time for you to, like, post on Instagram, to do all these things. So, like, this new schedule that I have, it's, like, I don't know, it's weird, because I'm getting paid, and I'm, like, the work is so fucking easy, where it's, like, man, I don't know, it's just, like, I sit in this warm-ass office. I'm sitting here, like, there's so much downtime where I'm just, like, sitting there, like, yo, but, like, what's the other part of this job? Because, like, 2 weeks ago, I was like, yo, this can't be it. I'm like, this can't be it. Like, what else do I got to do? And they're like, oh, well, you're picking it up really fast. This is it? This is the job? This is the job, you telling me? I'm waiting for the rest of it. Matter of fact, I'm learning Spanish in my spare time because, like, 80% of the people there only speak Spanish. So I'm myself taking the initiative to learn Spanish. Just because I feel like it'll make my day go by if I could have conversations with these people or just, like, properly speak to these people rather than having to call somebody that speaks both English and Spanish to translate my conversation, nigga. Goddamn. Nigga, goddamn. Just imagine. Just imagine if everybody of a different race, like, spoke, like, I don't know, whatever native language from their fucking native people, if it was, like, Spanish, fucking some Nigerian language, some Cameroonian language, if those are different languages, possibly. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, what if you spoke your native language still, but then there were still, like, people within your language, like, just fringe people who spoke both English and that other language that you would occasionally, that you just needed. You needed to be there in order to properly communicate to all your workers. That's nonsense. So in order to communicate with these workers, I'm learning Spanish. I mean, I took Spanish back in high school half-assedly. I mean, at the time, I was like, this could be useful to me, but I was like, I don't personally see myself needing it, is how I felt, like an idiot. And then as I was every year after high school, I was like, fuck, I should have paid more attention in Spanish class. Had I learned Spanish, I get paid like a lot more money in this position here. I could go for that job. That right there. It's like, oh, they want you to be fluent in Spanish. I was just like, damn. It's just like, you don't even think about that. Just learn, nigga. Just learn everything you fucking can. Everybody hearing this, just fucking learn every fucking thing you can. Don't ever feel like it's not worth it. Just learn it. And at some point, you can apply it. Learn it, nigga. Niggas be like, what is the point? I remember I was a kid sitting in geometry class, nigga, with dreams of being a rapper. Like, what the fuck am I gonna do with this shit? Nigga, just learn it. Just learn this shit. Just learn it all. Just take that information in. Just have it there, ready to go. How you know you ain't at the bar? Fucking, I always felt like, what is this shit? Is it, I felt like with geometry, I could be wrong here. I always felt like that helped me out play pool. But I could be wrong here. Niggas said it was something else. I think it said it was like physics or some shit. I'm like, nigga, I never took physics, bruh. So, I'm a biology nerd, bruh. I did biology for like... No, I was not a biology nerd. I mean, I did biology. I did the IB biology class. But I was also, like, taking IB chemistry classes. Because I was randomly really good at chemistry. Mr. Manning. Shout out to Dr. Manning. He wouldn't I would see in movies, I would hear other people talk about their chemistry classes. They do experiments and shit. We never did one experiment. We just did quadratic equations. That's all we did. We took notes. and we did quadratic equations. And I turned out to be really good at chemistry. Well, not the first time. So, like, first time around, I was half-assing the class, and I needed to take it again in summer school. And Mr. Mannon, Dr. Lutful Mannon, happened to be my same high school chemistry teacher was the chemistry teacher at High School of the Arts, the school that I chose to go to. And that's when I was like, fuck. I chose the wrong school to go to because I remember just like almost every day before class, like before they'd let people in the building, people at High School of Arts would show up with their instruments and just start jamming. Nigga, just start jamming before they let niggas into the building. It was the coolest shit ever. That's when I was like, damn, I went to the wrong school. They got a High School Musical going on over here, nigga, literally. And, nigga, it was a High School Musical going on over there. And, but with Mr. Mannon, like, I had already gone through his class. I've already taken all those notes. But when you're doing that every day, fucking 5 days a week, it was like a double period, chemistry. Like, you're just sitting in there taking notes. It's easy to get fucking burnt out. So by the time I took that class, summer school, I remember, like, I was just like, I said to everybody, yo, prepare to take a lot of notes. And he was like, nah, it's not going to be anything like in like the school year. He's like, it's summer. We don't need to do that. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, it's summer. We don't need to do that. And it was like, maybe like, it would be real brief notes. He'd give you everything you needed to know in a nutshell real quick. And I'm like, nigga, you could have did this during the school year. Like, everything he did was he wrote these super simplified ass notes about the baby homogenin and the mama homogenin and the big mama homogenins. He would go into these long spiels during the school year, just notes on notes, nigga. But then in summer school, it was like, this is it, and that's how you do it. And then we'd fucking do the assignments, take a test, and I'm acing everything to the point where I'm tutoring other niggas in chemistry class. As y'all niggas, like, niggas from my chemistry class at King would have never imagined that I'm in there tutoring niggas on chemistry. It got to the point, I'm not even lying, it got to the point, like, when the school year started, some people would talk to me, naturally, you know what I'm saying, you just talk to me, but pretty quickly, niggas very, like, clear, they didn't speak to me anymore, niggas giving me dirty looks, because they already knew I was going to pass everything, while they're getting, like, D's, they're failing. They're struggling to understand what he's talking about. They don't even, like, because he's Dr. Lutful Mannon, he's got a deep accent. But I sat there in his class in the beginning, and I felt like, what? What is he saying at first? But after weeks, months of being in his class, I understand everything he's saying. His accent isn't so foreign to me. So now that I'm sitting here in summer school, everybody else is like, what? What is he saying? And I'm sitting there like, yo, he said the baby homogenin. He said the baby homogenin and the big mama homogenin. This is how he talk. He's just funny. He's funny. He be cracking jokes, but like, because they didn't experience him, they didn't understand, they literally didn't understand what he was saying through his accent. And I definitely had an advantage there, I'm not gonna lie. Because I remember being in his class at King and struggling to understand what he was saying at the beginning of the school year. But by the end of it, I thought he was fucking hilarious. At that point, I knew he was just cracking jokes all the time. But beforehand, yeah. So, so I'm doing this job. Doing this new job, as I was saying. It's real easy. Kind of like the second time I did chemistry there. They even had it where they're telling me I gotta like they want me to like help with training the person who was hired the same time that I was. They were like, well, just like assist. Just be there, see what they're doing, because I'm picking it up so fast. So I'm like, yeah, that's cool. You know, I don't care, you know. It's just like, nigga, I'm here. I gotta be here. I'll do it, okay? I'll fucking do it. I'm borderline about to volunteer to do extra work, but I've done that before in other places and then got burnt out. And then I look back at it like, well, who fucking said, hey, I'll help out? You know what I'm saying? Who said, hey, I'll help out, and allowed them to think, oh, we can go to you for that fucking shit? But, man, this place is fucking cool. You know what I'm saying? I say it's real easy work. I remember, you know, like other jobs you work, like, especially, like, you niggas, you just, like, especially when I worked at, like, Whole Foods, nigga, like, you walking on eggshells, especially with just certain topics, certain conversations. You're walking on eggshells. Meanwhile, at this new job, there's an old white dude screaming about MAGA. We need a red hat on that man. We need to MAGA this man up. He's just cracking all these jokes, like just pro-Trump rhetoric going on. And everybody's just like laughing because that's just Joe. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would never happen at fucking Whole Foods or most of the places that I work. It's more of I worked at a hotel before. And I would say it's more of the vibe you get when you're in that kitchen is how that guy, this old guy, goes off on his rants. But the best thing I've fucking heard about this place so far, ladies and gentlemen, the coolest shit I've ever heard at any place I've ever worked, there's these guys there. And they don't like each other. And one of my coworkers, one of the people in the office with me says, he just jokingly says, like, that guy better chill out before I sick this other guy on him again. And then everyone laughs, and one person was like, "Ooh, don't say that." And I'm like, you know, when the girl that I work with says, "Ooh, don't say that," it's just like, well, this is real now. That's what it clicks in my head. And I'm just like, what do you mean, sick this person on him? Like, they fought? And everybody was like, oh, well, yeah, that's like a secret we don't talk about. And I'm like, what do you mean, though? They fought in the warehouse? And they're like, nah, they had a disagreement, so they both punched out, went to the parking lot, fought it out, came back to work, punched in, and got their work done. I'm like, nigga, that's the coolest shit I've ever fucking heard. Nigga, what if every place I worked at was like that? I don't know if niggas would have came back and finished their work, but, I mean, yeah, you should. That's some fucking badass shit, nigga. Niggas had a disagreement at work. They don't like each other. It escalated to the point it boiled over. And niggas fucking punched out, went to the parking lot and punched it out, came back to work and finished the fucking job. I fucks with that. So I think this new job's pretty solid. I'm sitting there like, yo, this can't be it, though. Like, what else do I need to be doing? I just feel like it's almost, I mean, maybe right now, maybe it's a slow time. It's like pandemic, you know. I feel like once more businesses open up, business will pick up and I'll be like, damn, this shit's crazy. Maybe we need more help. But right now, I'm like, I feel like there should be a couple more things, at least a couple more things that are my responsibility. But it is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's a cool new job. And as I said at the start of this episode, it's episode 86, and then there was X. Once again, I want to say rest in peace to Dmx. You know, I was just focused. I was just, you know, listening to so much Dmx lately. I've always been such a big fan of his. I think back on the story he told when he said he was 14 and a guy he looked up to as like an older brother, this like 30-year-old dude he looked up to, said the guy introduced him to rap, but he also like gave him a blunt when he was 14. And he's like, man, I felt crazy. I felt like I never felt before. And he says that, like, he later found out that the 30-year-old had put crack in the blunt. He laced the blunt with crack. And that was the start of what ultimately would be the end of DMX at age 50, dying of an overdose. He tells this story of being given this laced blunt unknowingly, and he's just breaking down. He can't even, like, it just hurts him so much to even think about it. He's just like, why would you do that to a child? Someone who looked up to you, knew how I felt. And you're gonna do that to a child, someone who trusts you. It's like the hurt, as he expressed what happened to him at age 14. You know, it's just wild, man. Listening to, just listening to this man pray, listening to his fucking Christmas carols, all that shit, man. It's just getting me. Listening to him speak before the "I Miss You" video. You know, that's when a single tear fell out my eye. I had to turn away from my wife and wipe the single tear. It's just rough, man. He meant a lot. He was a passionate dude, very inspiring. But you know, everybody has their demons. You know, everyone has their demons. He's a fiend, and it's just that's more of a thing where, man, it's crazy. 14-year-old and some 30-year-old guy in the hood that he looked up to because he didn't have the proper role models, I would say, at home. Otherwise, he's not spending time with this random 30-year-old man who's just going to give him a blunt full of crack. He's not spending the time with that guy. I mean, he had his demons. It's rough to see, you know what I'm saying? Like, do we even get the DMX we know without that incident? I don't think so. There's a lot of pain that you hear in DMX. There's a lot of struggle, slipping, falling. I can't get up. There's a lot in the music, and I don't know if we get that without that hardship. You gotta, like, he went through it, and it's what made him him. And unfortunately, DMX succumbed to his addiction at age 50. So I want to say another rest in peace to DMX. You are gone. You will never be forgotten. You're a legend. You came from nothing, and you made it. And yeah, you will be missed and never forgotten. Jermaine Sterling, recently had neck surgery. Says he'll be out until November. I don't know, this doesn't make any sense to me. I wrote in the notes here, it says he'll be out until November or April. And I'm like, that's a big jump. That's a big jump. I think it's maybe I wrote something wrong here. Maybe it's November or December, because that wouldn't make any sense, but he just had neck surgery, which I think changes the fight, because I know that Peter Yan, I think his coaches someone was saying that, like, they were telling him to hold down on his neck because he has a neck injury. They were saying to keep applying pressure. Like, they were fully aware that Jermaine had neck problems coming into the fight. And he just got those fixed, hopefully. So I don't know the difference in mobility, but we could potentially see a different fight. He doesn't have that glaring injury coming into it, you know. It could be a completely different fight in the rematch whenever we get to see it. Hopefully in November, but I think that's pretty interesting, you know? I think that's pretty interesting. This past weekend, we had UFC Vegas 23, UFC ABC 2, early morning card. A lot of good fights, man. A lot of good fights. Very big fight I was interested in. As I predicted, though, it was Mike Perry versus Daniel Rodriguez. I thought Daniel Rodriguez would beat the shit out of Mike Perry. That's what I said, and sure enough, it happened. Daniel Rodriguez beat the shit out of Mike Perry. Dude, he looked fucking... I know Mike Perry is talking about how he wants to go to 185, but he's fighting at 170 right now against Daniel Rodriguez. And he looks like a welterweight in there. He looks so tiny fighting Daniel Rodriguez in there. It did not look like these guys should be in the same weight class. Did not look like these guys should be booked against each other. It was just such a size difference, such a fucking skill discrepancy over 3 rounds. I felt like, so Rodriguez is piecing Perry up on the feet. Perry was able to get a takedown in the first round. Like, he just fucking grabbed him, lifted him up in the air, like, and as I'm telling you, Rodriguez is much bigger. He looks like twice the size Mike Perry. But the one thing people keep saying about Mike Perry, they're surprised about how strong he is. Mike Perry just goes in there, lifts this man up, and slams him down. And Perry just, like, doesn't go back to it the rest of the fight. And he's just getting fucking beat the fuck up on the feet. At one point, you can see the camera is showing, because I hear this voice going, "Come on, baby, come on." And I'm like, dude, he does not have Coach Latore here for this fight. This is too serious of a fight to have his wife or whatever in the fucking corner. And sure enough, she's there. The camera pans to her, and like, Daniel is fucking piecing Perry up, and I just see Latore like looking away. She's looking down to the ground. She's not looking at this fight. Not looking at this fight. And Rodriguez is beating the shit out of Perry. And it was just absolute demolition. He fucked up Perry's face. His nose hanging on the other side of his face again. You're talking about there's a bone protruding out of Perry's face. Like, his face was fucked up, man. He got his ass beat. I don't know where he goes from here, man, but he looked like he was in great shape. And I feel like if he has a nutritionist and, like, he does it right, I think he should drop down to 155 because he is severely undersized at 170. He was undersized when he fought Cowboy at 170. You know what I'm saying? He's strong. But if he goes up against a real capable 170 fucking fighter, he's talking about fighting Darren Till at 185, bro. You looked tiny in there against Daniel Rodriguez, and he fucking beat the shit out of you. I don't know if fighting Darren Till at a higher weight class is the answer. You look tiny in there. So he says he's got 1 fight left. I don't know what happens, man. I think he could win depending if they give him the right opponent. But like, what good does that do, man? He's got to switch his camp up or something. Or he trains actually with Colby fucking Covington. He trains at MMA Masters. He got Bazea and Colby Covington, 2 like really great 170 pounders. So maybe he just hasn't spent enough time there. They got him in some great shape. Maybe he just hasn't spent enough time. But he's got some great people at MMA Masters. So it's definitely not the camp. It's 1,000% not the camp. I'll tell you that much. He's got a phenomenal camp. So there was Mackenzie Dern versus Nina Nunes, formerly known Nina Ansaroff. And I was like, there's no way that Nina is going to lose this fight because I was like, yeah, Mackenzie's great on the ground, but she's somehow going to be able to withstand Nina, who I thought going into this to be a superior striker, you know? So I was like, she's somehow going to have to withstand the much more sophisticated striker in Nina Ansaroff, or Nina Nunes, I'm sorry. But Mackenzie Dern just fucking dominates Nina Nunes. She was all over her with the stand-up. She wasn't afraid to get hit. She was getting hit and still coming forward, just like hitting Nina with a barrage of punches, like hurting Nina. Like, it was like when she was hitting Nina, like you see the look on Nina's face, and she was very overwhelmed and then able to take her down right away and get a first-round submission of this armbar. And it was beautiful. It was fucking beautiful. Mackenzie Dern looked like a monster. She looked like a new Mackenzie Dern out there. Like, not just the girl who was out here with a fake accent, 3 new accents every time you talk to her, out here for Instagram. She's not that girl. She's out here. She's fucking swole as shit. She's doing the roids. I'm kidding. She's swole. Now she's got some real fucking muscle on her body. Like, them punches look like they were hurting Nina. All right? It looked like she was hurting Nina. She's swole now. She's taking this serious, and she wants a fucking top 5 opponent, and she wants to fight for the belt ASAP. So I think she fights at strawweight with Weili Zhang and Rose Namajunas. You mentioned that fight. Shit. She looks like a problem, ladies and gentlemen. Just with her jiu-jitsu skills and the fact that she's taken the time to really put on some muscle and really step up her fucking boxing, her striking, I mean, she looks like a problem, and she's only getting better. Mackenzie Dern could be champion. What is it, fucking April? Yeah, Mackenzie Dern could be champion, strawweight champion, by the end of 2021. And I'm saying she could either beat Rose Namajunas or Zhang Weili. I think the jiu-jitsu, her level of jiu-jitsu now with her striking and her strength, how she's put on the weight. She's done the things she needed to do. I think she will be too much. She could be too much for either of the two. I mean, we'll see this fight soon between Rose Namajunas and Zhang Weili, which will be pretty fucking amazing. But, yeah. We have a real fucking player at women's strawweight. I think there's only women's strawweight. At strawweight with Mackenzie Dern here, getting the first round submission of Nina Nunes. In the main event, ladies and gentlemen, you had Marvin Vettori taking on Kevin Holland on short notice, stepping in after he fought Derek Brunson 3 weeks ago, stepping in on short notice to fight Marvin Vettori. I was like, yo, it's not going to be enough time because Vettori's clearly just going to wrestle him, just take him down, hold him down on the ground, and that's pretty much what happened. But the one thing that I wanted to see, because, you know, after that Brunson fight, I was saying I don't care to see Holland fight again, honestly. And just because he was saying, I don't care, I'm not going to give a shit. Like, he was like, you guys can hate on me, I'm just still going to, like, talk and joke and be me. And I felt like, well, if that's the case, if you're still going to just, like, talk and joke and be everything that didn't work in that last fight, and really show that you didn't give a fuck in that last fight, then I was like, I don't want to see this guy fight again. But right away, when they started doing press for this fight, like the week of the fight, you see Kevin Holland's very serious. Even in the face-off, he's very stoic. He's not talking. He's very serious. And in the fight, he was very serious. He showed a sense of urgency. He was scrambling on the ground. He clearly doesn't have the know-how to stop like he was trying to stop takedowns, but he just doesn't have the grappling acumen to stop certain things. He just doesn't. He clearly doesn't have the experience to stop a lot of those takedowns. So, unfortunately, he got beat up. He had some moments in here where he hurt Vettori, but unfortunately Vettori was able to control him on the ground, repeatedly take him down, and beat him up. So he gets the fight, calls out Adesanya, because beating up the 10th ranked fighter who just lost 3 weeks ago and took this fight on short notice means, like, he fought 3 weeks ago, lost, and they're saying, like, yo, you could see in that fight, shit, he can't stop the takedown and doesn't really know how to get up. And what do you do in this fight? You take him down, and he doesn't really know how to get up. You just followed the blueprint that happened 3 weeks ago. Now you're saying, well, clearly I just won my 5th fight in a row, so that means I should be fighting the champion next. It's like, well, no. I don't know if that fight means you should fight the champion. You got Jared Cannonier ahead of you. You got Paulo Costa ahead of you. You got so many fighters there's a couple fighters ahead of you that you could fight next. And then once you beat those fighters, one of those fighters then call for the champion. You got Darren Till still sitting up there. But I don't think Vettori is the proper next opponent, man. Holland was saying he's not going to switch up and become a wrestler. But he does intend to go train with Daniel Cormier and work on some things. So if he goes train with Daniel Cormier, I'm pretty sure if he goes train with Cormier, he's going to train with possibly Khabib. I don't know if he's going to AKA, but he's going to train with DC and he's going to help him with his wrestling. So hopefully that happens and we see the real potential of Kevin Holland. There's a lot that he could improve on with his striking. He kind of rushes sometimes, puts himself in bad spots. But I think Kevin Holland could, like the serious Kevin Holland there showed me a lot. He's got nothing to hang his head on with that fight. All right? Everything is erased with that fight. Even in a losing effort. Because he showed me that he gave a shit. And now next week, ladies and gentlemen, we got Ben Askren taking on Jake Paul in a boxing fight. Celebrity boxing match, essentially. You know, most people, I would think, were betting on, or put their money on Jake Paul. Just because you've seen Ben Askren get knocked out, and you just saw Jake Paul knock Nate Robinson out. So that math tells you that Jake Paul is going to knock out Ben Askren. But I'm looking at the odds right now, and you got Jake Paul at a -125 and Ben Askren at a -105. There's no, they're both considered the favorite, but Jake Paul just slightly more the favorite. So this is terrible odds. They're just saying they don't want to. At this point, I'm imagining what happened is that so much money came in on Ben Askren, it swung it this way. If you watched that press conference and you didn't come out of that press conference thinking, holy shit, Ben Askren is about to beat the fuck out of Jake Paul. If you didn't come out of there thinking that, I don't know what press conference you were watching. Because when I watched that press conference, I was like, holy fuck. How did I forget? Because, you see the knockouts, you know what I'm saying? And you get lost in it. You get lost in the hype. And then when they came face to face and you just see, you're like, dude, Ben Askren is he was an Olympic wrestler, all right, was undefeated for most of his MMA career, fought some real killers. And we're supposed to think that he's intimidated to fight this fucking YouTuber? When they came together and you just saw how it seemed like Jake was shaking. And Ben Askren's looking into his soul because he's the fucking wrestler, Olympic wrestler, wrestling coach, guy who was undefeated before Masvidal hit the luckiest knee in the world. He's about to whoop this man's ass, even with decent striking, because I feel like even if Jake is somehow able to hit him with some good shots in the first first round or two, I don't think he's going to be able to put Ben out. Ben's too tough, man. He's a real fucking fighter. He's a wrestler, which all wrestlers are just super gritty, super tough. Askren hit the luckiest knee. Do you guys go back? Yeah, look at the knee that he hit him with. Now, go back and watch Ben Askren fight Robbie Lawler. I think that fight should have been stopped. But look at the abuse that he takes in that fight, and he still keeps coming. His face gets destroyed by Robbie Lawler, and he just keeps coming. So, are you telling me that Jake Paul hits harder than Robbie Lawler? Is that what you're trying to tell me? I don't think so. I don't think so. So I'm going with Ben Askren in that fight. I don't think it'll be close. I honestly don't think it'll be close. But it doesn't matter because, like, once Jake Paul loses, he's going to have his excuses. He's going to have all that shit, and he's just going to keep doing what he's doing. But he's going to lose this fight. I'm certain he's going to lose this fight. But in real fight news, next week, ladies and gentlemen, UFC Vegas 24. It'll be Robert Whittaker taking on Kelvin Gastelum. Finally, hopefully, we get to see this fight next week. Hopefully nothing happens and we get to see this fight. Dude, I don't know. I think everything's telling me that Robert Whittaker is he should be the favorite here. I haven't looked at the odds. I don't know. Do the odds matter? They don't really matter to me. It doesn't really change how I feel the fight is gonna go. You know what I'm saying? As far as Vegas odds, never once has the odds changed how I thought about the fight. Because the odds change just based off people putting bets on shit. You know? Doesn't mean anything to me. Doesn't tell me, oh, well, that means this person's going to win because a lot of bets came in on that guy. But Robert Whittaker is the heavy favorite. He's minus 260 with Gastelum at a plus 200. So Gastelum's had a rough way back to this position. I think he's a lot better than what we've seen in his past few fights. But I think we are in store, hopefully. If we get the best Kelvin Gastelum we can get, we are in store for a fucking war. A 5-round war, potentially going the full 5 rounds. If you didn't like that, I think there's no way that you could be an MMA fan and you didn't like Robert Whittaker versus Jared Cannonier. I think this will be similar, but more competitive. But I'm still going to go Robert Whittaker at the end of the day. That's just going to be my pick for that. If you guys want to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. You can follow my personal account at My Name's Jermaine. You can email this podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can listen, or you can follow this podcast at Babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to this podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, pretty much anywhere podcast stream. And if you guys are on Xbox, go ahead and add me at SauceBoss414. Go ahead and add me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Babylon5. Check out the merchandise. Go to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. And don't just be my Negro, be my patron. Be my patron. Go to patreon.com/Babylon5pod. And you guys can follow me on TikTok at Babylon5Podcast. This has been episode 86. I'm your boy Jermaine Event. This is episode 86. The title of it, once again, is called And Then There Was X. Rest in peace to Dmx. Thank you guys so much for being here. I will see you guys next week. I'll be here to talk to you guys next week. I didn't do a DraftKings video this week because I wasn't sure on my picks. Though I did pretty decent, actually. I won my card. But, yeah. Thank you guys so much. And I will see you guys next week. I'll see you when I see you. I'll holla.